So what's next for Cole? You say you've already filmed it and it's in post-production now.
Yes.
What is that process like?
So currently it's in the hands of a VFX artist named James Hanna, who's here from Lancaster. It's in the hands of Mike Moen, who is our sound designer, and it's also in the hands of Richie Devon, who is our composer, who worked on Foxes as well.
So did Mike Moen also.
And Mike Moen, Mike Moen also did sound design on Foxes. Very talented people. So
very much so.
Yeah, very much so.
Great.
So
really, really great.
So Chris Rupert actually just finished the edit, so it was picture locked. And so then now it's in their hands, kind of like molding it a little bit more. Because that's the huge part. There's so many moments kind of silence, I guess, for Carmen, since just the nature of the story. So sound design and the score are really what's going to elevate some of more of those elements that we're going for. The film has a lot of themes of magical realism. It has a lot of themes of body horror, and it's not really a horror film. It's more of a drama, but it has intense. It's intense. It's intense, and it has some elements just because of the nature of you're delving into somebody's mind. So in order to get some extra little oomph from that, you need the sound design and the score. That's what's going to elevate some of that.
So then the sound design, Mike Moen and Richie are working in tandem, so that the sound design complements the score, and the score can complement the sound design. So I'm really excited. I'm so excited to hear what they're able to do with it. And then after all of that's done and the VFX is done, then Thomas Prophet will
do color.
Who was our gaffer on it, and he's great too. He's a great cinematographer and director himself, and he's going to do the coloring on it. And then it'll be ready to go. Fine touches, and then.
So and the that whole process has just been fun because it's just so great to work with people who are this in general, a lot of the people that we worked with were fantastic. This was the first time that we also had professionally worked with someone who did a poster for us.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, because normally, especially when you're starting out, you're just what is the clip from my film that I like the most? And I'm just going to find a font I like, and boom, there you go. This is the cheapest way to do this. This is what we're doing. So it was really cool to find a graphic artist, Sophia Cantu out of Philadelphia. That's the other thing that we're super proud of. Every single person that worked on our casting crew is from Pennsylvania,
that's awesome.
So that's a big drive for us, is we want to put Pennsylvania kind of
on the
map and collaborate with actual
especially in the indie scene, because there are HBO films here and M. Night shot here and stuff like that, but sort of the indie scene I feel is a little lacking.
It's a little lacking.
We haven't seen there's so much talent here that it's you've got to be out there. We know you're out if you're out there.
It is. Contact us. You want to work with us.
But yeah, just to elevate every bit. Another thing that I'd like to say is that our next film needs to be at least as good as our last film, but it should definitely be better. So trying to gather the best people from the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area, and just keep working with them and grow together. If we all come up and we all get big, then it just elevates everything around the area. And it makes it so you don't have to be in New York or Georgia or LA or something like that. You can just do it at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been hired to go all over the place to work on other people's projects. So it's just it's just crazy when we're talking to people who are directors or whatever, and they're well, I have to hire from LA or New York. And I was I get outsourced to those places to work.
I had a director fly me out to Arizona. And it was crazy because he's from Westchester, Pennsylvania. And he's explaining to me why he didn't hire just actors in Arizona. Right. And he's well, there's just something about a New York actor. They just have this thing about them. And he's well, Greg, because you live in here. And I was no, I don't. I live in Philadelphia. He's oh, really? I'm yeah, that whole theory is nonsense. Like it was probably something back in the day. And like,
Right.
But I feel especially like post COVID and everything, like I've always thought that probably some of the most talented actors out there are probably in the middle of Iowa who just haven't, there's no studio for them to go and they don't believe in themselves. It's kind of like, there's a lot of musicians who are out there in like the middle of nowhere, like Slipknot's from like Iowa or something like that. And it's like, who would think that a band like that would be out there, because there's no outlet for them.
Correct.
So like Pennsylvania is not Iowa. Like I guarantee you we have enough creatives in the area to make some really dope films and scores and animations and stuff like that. Like there's no reason why it can't be done here.
No, I totally agree with that, and that's kind of what we're trying to hopefully coalesce here is all these different actors, actresses, musicians. I know we've had Brad Hawkins on the show before, and I'm hoping to get Michael Mallon if he would come out of his room.
Mike's tough to get out.
Mike is tough to get out. We love Mike.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to get him and pick his brain as well, because it's incredible what he does. He's got these $1 million microphones and just picks up these random noises and creates these awesome little things.
That's what I did for Foxes. So for that one, I would like, again, it's COVID, so it's like late 2020, 2021-ish, and I'm like, I would go out and like from like October through like the end of March, I would go on these like runs for like 2-3 miles at like 1 a.m. And so it's like freezing out, right? And I'm just like going for these runs, and I'd hear something, and I'd take my phone out and I'd record it, and I'd send it to Mike, and I want Foxes to sound sort of like traffic in this way. Like there's like the turnpike that I'm running underneath, and I'm just like hearing it. I'm like, I want that in there. I want that in there. Or like there's a helicopter like way in the distance, and he's like, okay, just send me everything you got, and we can make it work. And he obviously did some really great work.
Yeah, which I think is actually one of the reasons he really likes working with you, is the fact that like you do give him some room to be creative with his sound design. Because I mean, there are a lot of things where it's just like, oh, I don't want to work on this, because like aside from like when it's like other than just the pay, it's just like there's not much room for creativity. So like giving your artists something to like really like put their teeth into. So like being able to collaborate with Richie, which they guess he did on Foxes as well to some extent.
For the score?
Did they like compliment?
They didn't do so much on that.
As they're
but and I think that's why they want to do it on cold, where they can really from the beginning be in sync the entire time, because their works complement each other so well that it's like, all right, well, imagine if we actually work together on those. And that's really what we're trying to do with Roaming Shadow as well, is to just like, let's get a sort of database of everyone together. And it's like, oh, you need someone to do the score for your animation project, because I have a guy for that. I actually have 3 guys for that. I have 3 different people for that. And you need someone to DP a short film, or just for a day, or shoot a scene. Well, I have 4 cinematographers for you, and you don't have to pay someone to come in from New York or whatever.
And the just that collaborative nature in general, though, is so key.
Yeah, it's not competition, it's collaboration.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, totally. Like, again, there's so many good ones. Everyone's trying to make something. Let's just let's get the best people in the area, and let's make the best stuff. Like that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah. And sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, on our YouTube channel too, we've created a playlist. We started with Sophia because she's the first one, obviously, that started to do that. But it's basically from concept to creation. So we're having all of our post-production artists do kind of like a time lapse video, but explaining their process and everything else.
That's cool.
So like they've been doing that as they go along, because I mean it helps them too, obviously, because other people that don't know who they are. I mean, like our
portfolio.
Page our page went from like 22 followers to like 520, I think it's at now, for like in 2 weeks.
That's great.
Yeah.
So like we're trying to like really grow it. So it's just like, hey, like the more that like we can put like all of our stuff on there. So like we also want to make it educational.
Yeah,
because some people have no idea what
goes into
like.
stuff.
And she does a good job of explaining the collaborative process on that one too, because I had a very clear idea what I wanted for the poster, and it seemed like when people would like concept it for me, I was like, that's not really it. And it's really like flat and boring. Like, and then she just had this idea of like, well, what about this thing? And we had sort of talked about one of the Mondo posters for Annihilation that sort of has like the entire story baked into the poster. And she was
and
like,
Mother,
there was another one in there. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, I sort of had this idea about that. Like, what do you think about this? And I was like, oh my, like that looks way better than the crap I was talking about. Like, let's do your idea. And it sort of is like the best idea should win.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.